Okay, end of the week. I just want to touch base on a couple of widely held ones, MSTY, NVDY, PLTY, and Hoodie. Let's start with MSTY. Overall, I guess the fund has had a down week. I guess if we go to the fund holdings versus time and do the last 7 days, so you can filter based on the last 7 days here. In teal here, we do got the MSTY price. So it's from 1933 to 1823 by the last time I took the data point. But currently sitting at 1786, so even a bit lower there. Nothing changing in terms of their cash position. They paid their distribution last, or let's see, a couple weeks ago now. They've made money on the contracts they've sold. That said, their synthetic value has gone from positive to negative, driven by the underlying stock MicroStrategy going down over that time frame. But yeah, if you look at the position here, we had a positive synthetic value. This is as a percentage of the ETF price. It went negative in early August, and it shot back up to positive, and in red there, we're back to negative. So that's basically what's driving the MSTY price. As far as their positioning, you can see, I guess, with the stock trading MicroStrategy is the underlying stock at 366, roughly where this black line is. All their synthetics are above. They got synthetics at 375 through 410. So those are all clearly above the current price. So the synthetic value overall is negative. These positions have expired worthless as of the end of the day today. And let's see, as far as fund makeup on a per share basis, the synthetics about negative 92 cents, probably a little bit less right now, about negative $1 on the fund. And then I guess for next week, we'll see exactly what they choose. But with the expiration of the contracts today, they'll have roughly 142,915 contracts to sell. We'll see what strikes they pick, and I'll provide an update. Try for on Monday to explore exactly where the strikes they pick to sell in order to generate that weekly option premium. But a down day, I guess, overall for MSTY. That said, if we look at the MSTY fund overall, the distributions have been somewhat light, but on a total return basis, I guess over the last few months, we've stayed just about even. So we're clearly quite a bit better than from when we started, but really since the end of 2024, we've been right around this 60 level in terms of total return. So basically the cumulative dividend's been growing from, let's say, 27.51 up to 40.79. That said, the ETF value's fallen from roughly 33 down to less than 20. Just to note, these values here are as of the last distribution date, so they are only current. I guess or as of the X date, so they're only current as of the last time it paid a distribution. So right now, clearly the ETF price is slightly lower, but the cumulative dividend amounts are always the same. So I guess that was MSTY. Jump quick to NVDY. They just paid their distribution. I guess they'll be hitting accounts tonight, depending on who your broker is. Overall, NVIDIA has been a good one to own. Lately, with the share price, you can see that the total return has gone over that 50 mark. Cumulative dividend keeps driving along. Pretty consistent. I think we're looking for a pretty good distribution next month with earnings. That said, we'll see on that. At least that's what I'm looking for. But as far as their holdings currently, with the expiration date, their current price is 180. So all the ones in blue will be expiring worthless. They do already have a few contracts sold out here, 8/22/2025. Very light, only like 10,000 contracts, but 187.50 is your strike price. As far as the fund makeup right now, the synthetic does have a $1.45 positive value. Very light amount on the other contracts, negative drag of only 2 cents. So they'll look to probably sell new contracts come Monday to generate some of that weekly option premium. And then I guess if you want to just look at the week, I guess that's what I like to do. So if you want to look at how the fund's been trending for the week, if we take all here, remove it, and only select the last 7 days or so, maybe you can only do the last 5 days. So you can see the cash positioning. What's this drop from? That's from the distribution being paid going ex-dividend. And that's also what drove the share price down that day. But as for the week, it started out at 1771, currently at 1707. Last time we pulled the data with the current market, looks like it's actually a little bit lower at 1693. But pretty stable overall. Just paid the distribution, made some more money from the contracts expiring worthless, not a ton. And the synthetics remained roughly stable. So not a lot happened for NVDY, but maybe that's a good thing. Another Group B one is Palantir. They just paid that huge dividend. So if you want to see this you actually want to see it in action. So I guess we'll filter for the last 7 days on Palantir, let that load. And you can see that here in their cash distribution. Also clearly hit the ETF price, bringing it down to the 60s when it was clearly almost to 80. But they did pay that huge distribution. You can see their cash was at 58.66 and then boom, down to 52.72 with that payout. That said, they will be selling more contracts to generate more options premium. And the synthetic has fallen slightly, or somewhat, depending what your definition of slightly is. But you can see Palantir, the stock was down 2% today, so clearly the synthetic is falling with that. As far as their positioning, once again, everything in blue is expiring worthless because the Palantir stock is at 177. So therefore the 185, 187.50, those will all expire. That said, they already do got some contracts sold at the 185 and the 187.50. They'll probably look to add more come Monday, but that's what we're looking at for so far. As far as the fund makeup per share, they still got a pretty good value in that synthetic at 15.77, pushing the ETF price well above where their cash positioning is at the moment. So it looks like they have or zero remaining capacity, which means they have everything sold. That said, everything in blue will expire, so they're going to basically have that volume of contracts that they can resell come Monday. And then just the last one I wanted to touch base quick on was HOY. That one will report next week. So just a quick touch base on where that's standing at the moment. As far as positioning, first of all, Hood was up today, another 3%. HOY only up 2%. That's because as you can see here, these 815 contracts. Luckily, I guess those ones will, with the falling at 114, the 115s will expire worthless here in green. That said, they already did issue some for 8/22/2025. And with the current price already beyond 113 and 114, I guess that's the kind of leading to the underperformance of HOY versus Robinhood, the underlying stock. You can see the plus 3% versus only the plus 2%. That said, I guess we got more sold at 116, but then we got the upside of the call spread that we bought starting at 121. So I guess we get a really good week. We want to shoot past those calls that we bought. On a per share basis, synthetics got about $4 in it. Let me see how they're using theirs. So it looks like they got basically everything used. So come Monday, they'll just reissue calls or resell calls and stuff that expires as of 8/15. And then just the last thing to touch base on, taking a look at how HOOY has performed over the last 7 days. So you can see ETF price started about 70, currently is about 69. Cash position actually started at 67, went down a little bit. Now we're back up to 66. I'm assuming they restructured some of their calls that they sold that the stock went buy, so they had to buy them back using cash and resell other ones. But overall, the synthetic up and down, but really hasn't changed much since the start of the week. Yeah, I guess I'll touch base again next week to show where they sold, but there's a positioning update for the aforementioned